Welcome to Data Forward, the podcast that keeps you ahead in the fast-evolving world of enterprise AI and data management. We bring you expert insights, actionable strategies, and the latest trends to help you stay on top. Ready to shape the future of data? Let's Data Forward.
SuperBryn, founded by Nikkitha Shanker and Neethu Mariam Joy, is redefining customer engagement through voice AI. In this special episode, join Ashwin Rajeeva, co-founder and CTO of Axel Data, alongside Nikkitha Shanker, CEO and co-founder of SuperBryn.
You have an interesting journey. So you tried for civil services, and then e-commerce, and then voice AI. Now, this is not really a straight line. So what made you first think about, maybe you can contribute to the nation and then work in e-commerce and then go ahead and work in AI?
Oh my God, those are all very loaded questions, and I don't know if I have answers for all of them really. Bunch of stuff happened by virtue of being in certain places at certain points in time. But I think the civil services journey alone was a very pre-planned or a journey that I've been probably dreaming about from my school days. Pretty much because I guess at that point in time, the only way to explore your potential beyond a certain point looked like a civil services journey to me. And it also obviously had the component of being able to contribute to the nation and that aspect as well. So it was a dual thing, right? Your potential and then, of course, using that for the nation. But right after engineering, did that, was in Chennai, was in Delhi, and realized the statistics are a little tricky and it's not a very simple, connecting the dots sort of a problem. But nevertheless, I think I enjoyed every tiny bit of that journey. There's no doubt about it.
Through this journey, right, when you started building voice agents and you ended up with voice AI observability, I read somewhere that you had almost 4 or 5 times when you had to kind of pivot a little bit because the voice agents were not working. Now you're looking at observability. So maybe you walk us through one of those incidents where a real story. What did you try? What failed?
Right. So it was before the voice. Before we reached observability as a space. So I think, like you said, we were trying to understand where to sort of narrow down, right? So obviously e-commerce was my strength, voice was her strength. So we were trying to reimagine e-commerce in a
voice AI
in the new age with voice AI, right? Because today it's a very catalog driven experience for users, and I still think somebody will definitely solve for that someday.
So it's like voice-based shopping? Is that what you're thinking at that
Voice-based shopping, personalized shopping, understanding what you are as a person and then offering things.
Got it.
It's right now the discovery pretty much happens outside of the e-commerce platforms. You're not discovering products inside that. You're seeing that across influencers, social medias. You're doing a bunch of research outside of the platform and then using the platform just for the transaction, right? Which is getting things done. So it's more of logistics and warehousing that the platform offers today. So we were looking at, can we reimagine that experience? Of course, voice will become a very strong component of that. Within that, we try to see, can we go, really niche, pick a segment like skincare, which is not at all solved for, and there's too many variabilities there. So I think bunch of things around that because of the e-commerce expertise or understanding that I also came with. But there I think the trickier part was still we were relying on ONDC to kind of pick up so that we'd be able to leverage that to onboard sellers, right? Otherwise it's sort of very hard to build that kind of a strength today. Let's say the Amazons.
It's something
of the
new.
world.
I mean, it's difficult for people to imagine. You've been doing shopping in a certain way.
Yeah. So the seller network building that is a very heavy operations work, right? So if there is a platform like ONDC, which is democratizing your seller access, then it's easier for us to work only on the experience side of things. But this was looking tricky because ONDC, I don't think, has evolved to the expected pace that it was supposed to, because of which we could never leverage that, which means we would need another heavy operations just to onboard these sellers and to be equivalent to offering the variety that, say, an Amazon gives today could take considerable time. So, so bunch of things like that around which, and then finally the iteration to voice AI and pick some industry, can we at least build that out and then from
Okay,
that,
and from there,
but it's a
go
good,
on.
I would say 8 months or more of
That's pretty quick,
iterations.
actually. There are a lot of companies who can't pivot as fast. And, somewhere I heard that the first few years of a startup are all about figuring out, what works and how fast can you actually turn through the cogs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of energy and stamina to. We're probably iterating and pivoting every week. In fact, I would come home and then discuss, and then my husband would ask, "What are you doing this week?" Right? So every week would be something new, and then, but that was okay. There was a learning that emerged out of everything, and then finally, that iterative learning is what obviously helped at the end. Yeah.
Observability is something which we here at Accelerator know a little bit about, because we are, one part of what we do is around data observability. And observability in general has a definition. So when we started talking about data observability, there was already definition before, right? So for example, if you're monitoring your systems or running some observability, then you look at logs, metrics, traces, events, right? In data observability, through a lot of effort over the years, we have kind of established some metrics around how you can measure reliability on data systems. Voice AI itself is new, and the ecosystem around is being developed. What do you think what does observability for voice AI mean according to you, right? If I was a customer of yours and I was running, let's say, an e-commerce company, and you come and pitch to me saying, "Hey, we do voice AI observability."
Yeah.
What metrics do you tell me that I need to improve, and how does it actually happen in practice?
Yeah, very interesting question. I think fundamentally what we are realizing is the bigger problem in observability is to start with a question of what is failure even, right? How do you even define failure?
That's
today?
exactly my question,
Yeah,
right? What do you measure?
Exactly. So today, for example, if you're simply looking at data and then you're, the outcomes, and then you're saying that the goals achieved are all, great. Those calls where you didn't achieve the goals are not great. Let us look at that, right? But can that even be a definition of failure, right? Because let's say a restaurant order taking agent, it booked the order, but it violated some policy guardrails, or there were certain security breaches between the conversation. But in a very unidimensional manner, if you look at the call, yes, the order was even booked, right?
Yeah.
So I think the nuance to even figure out what failure is, and being able to understand where that failure originated from, how many such failures are happening in a repeated fashion, and eventually how do I improve the performance of this agent? How can I see the versions that are contributing to the improvements of this agent? And finally, to say that how can I improve the business outcome as well from this, right? So these are the top or macro goals that we are working towards through observability, which is very tricky today, considering all systems are built on probabilistic models.
Makes
and
sense.
there are the entire tech stack is not very straightforward, right? There are multiple orchestration levels happening. So even a small error at some level, which goes unnoticed and probably ends up with a positive booking, might still be a failure, and identifying that and fixing that becomes a tricky problem.
From what you're telling, saying, it seems like that maybe there is a different definition of what success is for different domains, like restaurants versus e-commerce versus healthcare, right? So how do you kind of, let's say 5 years down the line, AI observability is now like an established practice, right?
Yeah.
where do you see what could be maybe 4 or 5 things which every voice AI needs to do well for it to be called, a success? Or what are the success parameters for something like that?
Right. So, firstly, like I said, every industry or every use case would have a certain workflow that they are operating under, right? The conversational flow would be there. And there are obviously the most optimized or the canonical path where you're supposed to get the order booked or whatever the success metric is that's defined for them, right? It's to also say that even if it follows that path, things can still be wrong, right? So not to just look at the whole voice, systems based on the metric, the final metric that has been sort of derived at. Adding layers of policies, guardrails, security breaches is a very important part of what success should look like. Then to not look at observability as a means to an end, but to say that this has to go beyond just analytics and then come back and help you fix things at the end of the day and improve that, right? That's where if you're able to in-house build that or however that is, which is these analytics or patterns or insights should eventually lead to improving the performance of the agent. So to answer your question, I think it boils down to not looking at the success very unidimensionally, and then to also ensure this system or the insights that come out of it, which are gold, right? If captured right, again, so your wrong success and failure itself will be a problem, but if captured right, how can you use that to continuously improve the system?
What's the most, I'm sure you've done a lot of, listen to a lot of call recordings now and with customers. What's the most ridiculous way you saw some AI agent behave or fail?
I mean, I think the surprising fact is it's not even ridiculous. Even in a bunch of very simple things, it fails, right? Which is, today what happens is, let's say you're demoing an agent, which is a very controlled environment, right? Scripted flows.
Correct.
Noisy backgrounds are not there. Interruptions are not there, right? So when people put that into production without any sort of testing framework, then even in the simplest things lead to a failure. For example, pressure cooker whistling in the background, or music playing in the background. Dog is barking, or you're interrupting. As humans, you're very indecisive. So when you interact with the agent, you might go till the end and then go to the first part and then come back. So agents get confused, so on and so forth. So the surprising fact is even the simpler things are still not yet getting resolved. I think yesterday I got a call from a voice agent which said, "Hi, Nikkitha. We have a whatever. It was an agent. But it was not even able to say my name, right? But and I've been getting that call for the past 1 month or more, which means nobody has even realized that calls are going on that way.
The AI can't spell the name, so it just does the alphabet.
Yeah, it just does that, right? So,
but at scale, how do you detect it? Let's say that this is the problem, that the AI agent is mispronouncing names, right? So how does the system which is looking at it figure out that it's mispronouncing the name and then go and hopefully autocorrect, so the next call you get has it, "Hey, hi Nikkitha"?
Yeah, there are a bunch of ways. I mean, one is, let's say, the entire testing framework itself is, to inject these variabilities and then test for it. So we have a very ASR focused testing layer, right? So just to give you an understanding of what
is ASR?
Automatic speech
recognition. Okay, I'm so sorry.
STT, or today it's speech to text mostly. They call it speech to text, right? So ours is a very, our evaluation framework itself is a ring approach that we have, which is a 7 ring, which is a set of 7 rings. almost equivalent to 7 levels of hell, right? So the agent is put through this 7 progressive rings, and then that's how it's tested out. So how it starts is initially a ring 0, which says that even before you simulate this agent, have you designed this agent even right?
Okay.
Which
So is it performing according to whatever is the...
We've not even started, simulating or testing its performance, but just the design, which is, has it been prompted well? Has the policy guardrails designed well? Are the workflows well, right? So this is where a deeper context, understanding that we try to bring helps. So you could be probably in a fintech and you're under the larger regulatory bodies ambit, right? So fundamentally, are you even designing this agent to adhere to the policy guardrails of the larger industry domain? So once, let's say, the design audit goes through, then the ring 1 is basically to check the basic functional correctness. Like, is it even following all the basic paths, happy paths properly? The next is to check the policy guardrails, which is it able to adhere to these policy guardrails? Third is your red teaming, jailbreaks, all that, right? Fourth is where the speech variations come in. So this is where people have accents, they mumble, they have all these different intricacies, proper nouns, right? Today, STT models are still struggling to probably respond to, understand proper nouns, right? So this ring is specifically to test for those. Then we have another ring which is to handle real people, which is where your indecisiveness, interruptions, frustrated users, all this comes into picture. And then comes the chaos of environmental variabilities, right? Your background noises of all kinds. And then finally a ring to test all these variabilities put together. So there is a very robust way of testing this agent before it goes into production. So you're able to iron out a lot of these, issues way before you go into production itself.
So the process doesn't begin when something has gone wrong. It
Correct.
begins before you even start.
Exactly. And maybe one step before, which is the design itself.
Design itself, yeah. Interesting. I feel that in India especially, with so many languages, accents, and especially I've seen people even switch languages in between a call. And I do it all the time. Like somebody will call me, I can tell what they're trying to say, and I can also tell where they're from. And if I know the language, I'll switch it, right? So, hello, we are launching a new property. Acha batao kahan hai, right? So, how does it work, especially in India? Because I would feel that designing for an ecosystem like this is much harder, because what is, let's say, empathetic or polite in English might not be so, and vice versa. Yeah. So is it more challenging, or is there a pattern that kind of follows in all languages?
No, it's definitely more challenging. Even you mentioned a couple of things, which is the accents, languages. There's also a larger background noise here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, handling that itself is a bigger problem, right? So India-specific problems are definitely much larger, and so basically your entire voice text stack starts from your cloud telephony or audio ingestion, right? And then there is a streaming orchestration. This is where your barge-ins or interruptions or pause detections, all these come in. Then there is a ASR or STT, which understands, which is like your ear, listens to the voice and then converts it to text. Then there is a context orchestration, which is fetching data, memory, prompting, all that comes into picture, prompt injection, so on and so forth. Then you have your LLM, which is going to reason, which gets this text and then reasons. Then it spits out a response, which goes through a response handling orchestration. And there is also a tooling orchestration around this, because it has to pull in multiple systems and records from different places. Then you have your TTS, which is what the speaking, text to speech, right? And then finally, your response streaming orchestration, right? So this is a very fairly deep stack. And if you really think the variabilities for India, you'll be able to see a reflection across this stack. And it's not just probably at the accent level, or mostly, yes, the STT, TTS are definitely, very key contributors, but across the entire orchestration stack, this is going to probably reflect, the complexity is going to reflect, is what I think.
So you'll have to kind of build some special handling based on geography, country as you scale.
Definitely. I mean, while the larger tech, stack remains the same, molding it for different use cases, geographies is definitely going to change. And it's just not that, even the models are probably going to emerge very India specific. Right?
Yeah.
I think recently there was a benchmarking that happened across the ASR models, and it was very clear that the global models were not performing for India specific use cases, and the India models, including Sarvam and so on and so forth, were delivering a much better value, right? So I think localized systems across the stack will emerge, and to package this all eventually, I think cost is an important factor as a market. So probably the efficiency and optimization would also come around that as a layer, which probably is not the first focus for a global market, right? So yeah.
Got it. The one thing I've always wondered with all AI native companies is that, when this whole ChatGPT and all of it started, there's a lot of companies which were joining your meetings and taking transcriptions, recordings, and then give it. And then over a period of time, and when I say period of time, it's like 2 years, the model gets so better and the cost to do some of these things drops so much that any app is now supposed to have meeting notes integrated. Do you feel that voice AI will follow the same trajectory where you can put in like the next couple of years for doing all that you said, and then there's like, either the cost to this technology goes down or the model gets so much better that they can like really follow instructions well, make the perfect phone call, follow all languages, deal with all noises, right? So where do you think is there like a 5-year, 10-year arc? Because when you build a company, you're looking at like a slightly longer term.
Right.
And is this something of a concern that you guys are looking at? Or do you think there's, it'll never be as good and there'll always be a need to, fix things?
Right, but I could be totally wrong. But even then, my understanding is that the stack is a little, or it's slightly complex, and it's not just one part, right? It's starting from the streaming to hearing to transcribing to reasoning to speaking, and then it has to reach the other end. And if somebody interrupts in between, it has to stop processing in between, wait for the new ingestion, and then, right? So unlike a bunch of spaces, I think this space is, it probably will not be commoditized from a tech sense, right? And will models do it? Well, there are speech-to-speech models that are coming up. There are still, I think today the LLMs are still not voice first. It's not built for a voice first, use case. So I think a lot of work will happen in that direction as well. But orchestrating this end to end, aligning it to a business, and then making it reliable across 1 million calls, I don't think we'll be able to skip any of those steps, and there would be people at different stages doing phenomenally well to ensure this is happening, right? So yeah, that's what I think.
Good. So what's next for SuperBryn? Are you guys hiring?
Yeah. I mean, of course.
What kind of roles are you hiring for?
We are hiring for, so our larger thought is there is a missing reliability layer in voice AI, and it has to come from a deeper research standpoint, and which is the DNA that we carry with Neethu's expertise. So we are spinning up a Bryn Labs research which goes deeper into understanding what voice, about voice stack, and why it's failing, and we want to solve everything around the reason for failure. So today, like I said, we are starting with evals observability, moving into more things like context, memory, whatever we think might be required around it, right? So we are, in fact, hiring for research, folks to join the research team.
Here in Bangalore?
Here in Bangalore, and immediately in Bangalore.
Nice.
But yeah,
Great.
that's the thought.
If anybody who's listening to this wants to follow the company or wants to follow your journey, what is the best place for them to know more about SuperBryn?
I think it's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, mine and Neetu, we write a lot. I think Neetu talks a lot about why voice systems are failing, her experiences on this space. I talk more from what I'm seeing customers are struggling with in scaling voice AI. So yeah, that's what LinkedIn is the space to sort of follow us.
Great. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you.
Coming into Accelerator, and I hope to see you next time. Best of luck for the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Data Forward, the podcast that keeps you ahead in the fast evolving world of enterprise AI and data management. We bring you expert insights, actionable strategies, and the latest trends to help you stay on top. Ready to shape the future of data? Let's data forward.